the Grinch stole tradition. Every Who down at Whoville liked incense a lot, but the Grinch, who did not like tradition, did not. The Grinch hated incense and other traditions. I'm not quite sure why, but I have my suspicions. It could have just been that the smoke made him sneeze. It could be that kneeling a lot hurt his knees. But I think a cause that we cannot neglect is how the Grinch prized worldly human respect. But what's not essential, he grinched, should be changed. What's cool can replace what's old and what's strange. The mask should be stripped to its primitive use, making room for new customs to be introduced. But whatever the reason, his nose or his pride, what he saw was a sight that he could not abide. For he saw the Who faithful of every class were busy preparing to hear Holy Mass. They're marking their missals and putting on veils. They're nailing its statues and high altar rails. Then he growled, as he grinchishly formed his ambition, I must find some way to update their tradition. For when the bells ring and the organ starts playing, the old and the young will fold hands and start praying, and chanting the Latin a print on their pages. That's one thing he hated, the whole Middle Ages. And then they'll come forward, the old and the young, and receive a little white host on their tongue. Then they'll make a thanksgiving, the people and priest, a priest facing east. I can't stand in the least. And then they do something he liked least of all. All the Who faithful, the tall and the small, would kneel after Mass, which the Grinch hated violently. They'd kneel in their kneelers, and they all would pray silently. And then the Grinch thought, then they'll have benediction, with monstrance and incense and airway constriction. Why, Latin's been dead for 1,000 years now. I must stop this Catholic nonsense. But how? Then he got an idea, an awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea. He laughed in his throat. Why, I knew just the thing. I'll make a white cassock, staccato and ring. And he clucked as he put on a crown and cope. What a great Grinchy trick. I'll look just like the Pope. All I need are bad bishops. The Grinch looked around, but bad bishops are scarce. There were none to be found. Did that stop the old Grinch? No, the Grinch simply said, if I can't find bishops, I'll make some instead. So he called his dog Max. Then he took some red thread, and he tied a red skull cap on the top of his head. Then he gave Max a pen, and he said, take this down. From the Bishop of Rome to each Catholic town, rejoice, for your liturgy dearly annotated is now at long last by these presents updated. Let the old yield its place and give way to the new. Let novelty permeate all that you do. Let incense not choke nor kneeling make sore. Let language and music be modern once more. Away repetitions and useless accretions, and welcome mutations, additions, deletions. Oh, hail a new springtime, a new understanding, and though this direction may seem quite demanding, the Catholic heart must always be expanding, and so we must follow the spirit commanding, anything contrary-wise notwithstanding. Then the Grinch said, send copies to all of the Who's, so that all of Whoville may rejoice in the news. The city's so full of ultramontane. Let them fight for the Pope in his latest campaign. And on your way back, rent a wrecking ball clean. Now when Max had completed his papal commission, the Pope reassigned him to church demolition. The Grinch said, fire it up! And the crane headed out in the spirit of what his reform's all about. All the churches were dark. No one knew Max was there. All the Who's were all dreaming sweet dreams without care when he came to the first Catholic church on the square. This is stop number 1, declared Cardinal Max. No, nobody panic. I'm a bishop. Relax. Then he smashed their high altars of marble and gold, and stained glass and statues of value untold, and he took all their censers, their incense, their veils, their chant books, their kneelers, and high altar rails, fine chalice and chasuble, cope and beretta, not even the organ was spared his vendetta. For he knew that his mission would not be complete until each trace of triumph was changed for defeat. But while Max was inflicting liturgic reforms, in the mail came a dubium on the new norms. The letter was penned in a childlike hand by a little schoolgirl who did not understand. The Grinch read the letter.
Dear Holiness, why? Why are you changing our liturgy? Why?
But you know that old Grinch was so smart and so slick, he thought of a lie and he thought it up quick. The fake pontiff wrote, "Why, to tell you the truth, all that Latin and chant don't appeal to the youth. So I'm taking it up to a committee in Rome. I'll fix it up here, then they'll send it back home." And his fib fooled her parents, her teachers and priests, but when she read the answer, her doubt just increased. And while the Grinch answered each gripe and petition, old Cardinal Max was completing his mission. Now Max had accomplished his task without falter. The last thing he took was the cross from the altar, and the only things left in that chancel so scant were a table, some chairs, and a green potted plant. Then he did the same thing to each church he could find, leaving banners of felt and pianos behind. "The Lord be with you," the Pope grinchishly said. "They're finding out now that tradition is dead. They're going to Mass. I know just what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open a minute or two. Then the faithful will answer, 'And also with you.'" "That's a noise," grinned the Grinch, "that I simply must hear." So he paused, and the Grinch put his hand to his ear, and he did hear a sound rising up from the people arriving for Mass at old Max's cathedral. For the Who's there were greeted by greeters who greet, and then greeted again when they sat in their seat. Then the loudspeaker Who asked the people to stand, and to greet all their neighbors and shake all their hands, just in case any Who felt estranged or ignored.
"So that there be no strangers in the house of the Lord."
And then, oh the noise, 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 noise! No one kneeling or praying, just noise, 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 noise! And then what they did the Grinch liked best of all. Every Who in that chapel, the tall and the small, moved close in their pews with guitars all a-zinging. They stood hand in hand and the Who's began singing, "Amazing Grace." Verses were blasting on speakers by Who's who were dressed in their t-shirts and sneakers. And as the procession processed down the aisle, the presbyter greeted each Who with a smile. But as the presider was starting the meeting and greeting the Who's still in need of greeting, the Grinch heard a new sound rise up through the air from a little Who chapel. Who knew it was there? But the sound wasn't English. The sound sounded Latin, and it wasn't just spoken, the people were chanting. He stared at that church when the Grinch popped his eyes. Then he shook. What he saw was a shocking surprise. Every Who in that chapel, the tall and the small, was chanting without his permission at all. He hadn't succeeded suppressing tradition. Somehow it still came without any permission. And there the Grinch stood while the incense smoke rose, and he cringed at the thought of it touching his nose. It came without endos, without dispensations. It came without faculties or approbations. He puzzled and puzzled till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. A Grinch, the Grinch thought, must need more than a crown, where the faith and communion of Peter are found. And what happened then? Well, in Whoville they say that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. He embraced all his brothers, no matter their creed, whether Protestant, Buddhist, or Jew-Who's indeed, and he praised their religions, no matter how bad. He'd only condemn you if you were a trad.